Not only that, but are your remote stocks in trouble here because of what Amazon is doing? And actually, Facebook is starting to do as well. I'm going to let you know in just a second, but let's go ahead and take a look at what actually transpired late last night on Amazon's news release here. What a crazy week we have had in the stock market this week, guys. It might just be chaotic. So hit that like button and let's just get into it. And we're going to talk about Southwest right now. We're going to talk about Amazon a little bit, so make sure you're sticking around to the end of the video to hear my thoughts on that and how they're impacting remote work. But as far as Southwest goes right now, they have sparked an absolutely crazy rally early today based off of some really encouraging news on their cash burn. Now, if you guys don't recall what cash burn is, this has been something that has been really tough for the airline industry. Each and every single day, the airline is burning and going through cash like crazy. And one of the biggest reasons here is probably one of the obvious ones, and that's these airliners, they can't fill up planes. There's this thing called break-even load factor. We're going to get into that in just a moment. But Southwest came out with news today stating that what was expected a $23 million a day cash burn has now improved to about $17 million a day. And while that's still a ton of money, it's really encouraging to see demand coming back into Southwest. Now, I brought Southwest to you guys back in April. I said that Southwest was by far the best stock that I would suggest getting into. I talked about Save a little bit, or Spirit Airlines there a little bit as well, and that if you're looking for international airliners, that Delta was probably my go-to, and American Airlines was absolutely the worst one to get into. We're going to get into why in just a moment. And there's a couple of reasons here why Southwest is just so good to own if you have to own an airline stock. And one of the biggest reasons is because most of their flights are done domestically. If you're looking at Delta or American Airlines, they also rely on a lot of international travel, and Americans just can't simply do that right now because countries aren't allowing them in. So a clear advantage here for Southwest, especially as demand is increasing for domestic travel. But the second biggest factor here for Southwest Airlines and what gives them the biggest advantage is what's called the break-even load factor. Now, I've talked about this on this channel before, but just to kind of recap real quick, what the break-even load factor means is that it means the amount of people it takes to actually fill up a plane and for them to break even on all their costs and that sort of thing. So anything beyond that is going to be profit. Now, for Southwest Airlines, it's about 72%. So 72% of the flight has to be filled up in order for them to break even on it, and then they could start making money. And with American Airlines being close to 80%, which is absolutely crazy. So you have to fill up that plane 80% in order for them to break even on it. I don't know what they're doing over at American Airlines, especially because American Airlines is burning through nearly $60 million a day as well. Now, probably one of the biggest factors for American Airlines is that they do have the largest fleet, which, could be an advantage if everything was working just fine and everybody was flying around like normal. But now they have to maintain these planes. They have to store these planes. All of that costs money. So they are burning through cash like crazy. And I've told you guys, you can't be owning American Airlines, in my opinion. I just don't see why you would own that over something like Southwest. When all the numbers are in the favor of Southwest, it just doesn't make any sense to own anything else if you must own an airline. And really, owning any airline right now is probably not the best way to spend your money, but if you must own something, it's gotta be Southwest, period. Now, I'm not a huge fan of owning airline stocks in general at this point in time, but if you gotta have one, there's no question, it has to be Southwest. Hey, Steve, can you help me out here?
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.
Thanks, man. Cause Stone Cold said so. All right. But do let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? Do you think there is a better airline to own other than Southwest? And give me a good reason as to why, because I would love to hear a counter argument. But really, honestly, I just don't see how any of these other airlines compared to them really coming out of this too. Once things start to recover, Southwest is going to do it much faster than these, in my opinion. But I would love to hear why you would think otherwise. And before we get into Amazon real quick, I just want to invite you over to the Chaos Crew by hitting join next to subscribe. What you get is a daily watch list from me, as well as private live streams and specific badges dedicated to the Chaos Crew. It's a really great place to be. Somebody actually just said that the $5 a month was a joke because they got so much value out of it. And that's what I always try to do on this channel and in my community, is just over deliver each and every day. So thanks so much for your support. If you want to support this channel, check it out. Would love to have you over over there. All right, so next up is Amazon here, and apparently Amazon is betting that office space is going to make a huge comeback. At least that's what the headlines are saying, and I don't know if I really necessarily buy that. And we're going to go into what's going on here, and I'm going to explain as to why I don't think that they're really buying into the office space deal, but more so just kind of like hedging their bets a little bit and having a decent balance of remote work and office space and betting on that it might come back a little bit, but not the way that it was. Not only that, but are your remote stocks in trouble here because of what Amazon is doing? And actually, Facebook is starting to do as well. I'm going to let you know in just a second, but let's go ahead and take a look at what actually transpired late last night on Amazon's news release here. The company will reportedly add 900,000 square feet of office space in 6 different locations, betting that supposedly the office work will come back. The vice president of Amazon has been quoted as saying, "We are looking forward to being back in the office," which I guess is probably pretty telling and pretty straightforward on what they think about going back to work. But a lot of this stuff was actually in the works before the Rona. So I'm willing to bet that it's probably along the lines of, well, we've already made the decision, so we might as well just go through with it and see where it takes us. The company said that they acquired the Lord and Fifth Avenue building in New York, which is 650,000 square feet. But that was a building that they acquired from WeWork, which still cracks me up because that company is such a joke. They acquired from WeWork back in early March. So in early March, obviously things were a lot different back then than they are now. So I don't think that at this point Amazon's willing to just scrap the whole thing. I think they're just going to move forward with it, especially considering that they hired 100,000 people back in April, another 75,000 since then, and this new move is also going to bring on another 3,500 jobs. Amazon's growing at an insane rate, so they're going to need some office space of some kind. When you have that many employees, you need some sort of space no matter what you're doing. Now, I think that 900,000 square feet is probably a bit much at this point, but I'm not Jeff Bezos, and I think he's probably a lot smarter than I am when it comes to that sort of thing. So, I mean, look, maybe they're doing it just to try to see if people are interested in coming back to work. And so the big question here is that how's this going to impact remote work focused companies, and will this impact those stocks that you're invested in? And in my opinion, I just don't think it will at all. Look, I've never said that the office is going away completely. There's still probably going to be a need to have some office space of some kind, but I'm willing to bet that it doesn't come back anywhere near the capacity that it was before. After all, Twitter has come out and said that employees can work from home for the foreseeable future if they wish to. They don't have to come back to work at all. Facebook announced a couple months ago that they have a 5-year plan to have 50% of their employees or more work remotely, which just opens up so many doors for them. They have the opportunity now to not pay stupidly high California taxes, which is absolutely insane. I don't know why these companies are still in California at this point when you can just work remotely. Like, make your headquarters somewhere else. Makes no sense. Google is also allowing their employees to work through 2020, and it'd be interesting to see if that actually doesn't get extended, because I'm willing to bet that it does. Look, in my opinion, don't read too much into this. Remote work is not going away. It's only going to increase in demand as things progress. Some people might go back to the office because you just have to. There's no choice. It is required. Certain people may just have to go back to the office because of whatever they do. The type of work that they engage in just requires them to be at the office. And I'm sure there's going to be certain conferences that you just want to be able to meet in person with. But at this point in the game, when you look at things like Goldman Sachs that had 97% of their employees working from home, and they were actually being more efficient with executing trades and getting on with daily operations, having everybody work remotely, it just makes sense that this is the direction we're moving forward into. So yes, I'm still leaning heavily on stocks like Fastly, CrowdStrike, Palo Alto, all those cybersecurity ones. Zoom, still very much on the radar. I talked about Zoom hitting $300 a share back in April when it was at 116, and we're almost there. I think Zoom does it probably by the end of this month. Which leads me to the final question that needs to get answered that a lot of you have been asking. Is it too late to get into some of these remote work stocks? And no, it's not. We are just getting started. We're just scratching the surface with remote work. And I think 2021 is going to be a banner year for them. Could we see Zoom at $500 per share by the end of 2021? I mean, Zoom just announced today that they're getting into Amazon Alexa, Facebook Portal, and Google Nest. So what does that mean for the industry now? It's only going to increase in demand. We are just getting started, folks. The remote stocks aren't going anywhere. This thing about Amazon betting on office space, I don't think it needs to be read into that all that much. It's really not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. But let me know your thoughts on remote work. Do you think that it's going away? Are you with me in the camp that it's only going to increase in demand, or do you think that everybody's going to go back to work as normal and be okay with commuting in that 9 to 5 traffic? Also, if you happen to miss my latest rant on Thinkorswim and how I'm moving to a new broker, catch this video here. Guys, please like and subscribe. And as always, I will see you all before the bell. And B. Smith is out.